Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to this video where we'll be learning about file handling. To be specific, in this video we'll learn how to open files, how to read from files, and how to close them. If that sounds interesting, let's dive right in. Why is file handling important, you might ask? Okay, file handling is essential for reading and writing to files, and it's used in data storage, login, configuration files, and even more. And for status, there are just two types of files: text files and binary files. Text files, they store data in plain text like .txt and .csv, and binary files store data in binary form like the .bin and the .exe. In this video, we'll just learn about text file and learn about binary files in future videos. So without much ado, let's just start learning about files. With me, I have a file here, a text file, text.txt. It has some three sentences. The first one says, "You look good," and indeed I can see you look good. Another one, "Have a nice day, bye." Okay, let's see how we can read this file using Python. So for us to read this file, we'll first have to open that file, then read contents from it, then close the file. It's always good practice to close file after using them. So our intention is to read this text file, and I'll just print that content to the console or the terminal. So let me just do that. So first I'll have to open that file, and after that, to open a file, you use this open function. So I just write there open. Then inside this function I pass the path of that file. So in VS Code it's simple. You can just right click on that file, then click on this copy path. That way you'll have copied the path of your file. Then I can just paste that path inside the open function as a string. Then I'll have to escape this backslash using another backslash like that. So I'm using this extra backslashes to escape the backslash. This way I'll have opened my file. So I can assign this to a variable. I'll call that variable file. But I can just give it any name. But by convention it's called either file or f. So now that my file is open, I can read the content of that file using the read method. It's here, read. So I'll just say file dot read like that. This way I have read from the file. Maybe I can just print this so that, or you can just assign it to a variable then print it, but let me just print it one way so that you can see it in the terminal. Then once I've read from that file, like I said earlier, it's good practice to close a file after you have used it. So I'll just say here file dot close like that. So here I've opened the file, I've stored it in this variable. In this line 3 I'm reading that file, then line 5 I'm closing that file. And if I save this code and run it, you'll see in the terminal it will say "You look good, have a nice day, bye." And that is how you open a file, read it, and close the file. It's just that simple. It's good practice to, once you're opening the file, it's good practice to say you are opening it to do what. And that is where the file modes come in. There are this 1 2 3 4 5 file modes. There's this one R, it is the read, and this one is the default file. If you just open a file without defining the mode, by default it will be read, just like what we did here. We opened this file and we did not specify the mode, and the mode was read by default. There's this one W for write. We'll see how we can write to files in the next video. A for append, it creates a new file if it does not exist and appends data. Then B for binary mode, then R and plus to read and write. So we look at all these file modes, but just to make our code better, we can just add a file mode here. So you're opening this file to read it, so I can just add here R to show that I was opening this file with the read mode, just to read from it. And if you run this code, it will just work as it was working before. You can see it will say "Have a good day, you look good, have a nice day, bye." Just like it was working before, but now you have specified it's for read. But I've said if you don't specify, by default it will be read. Okay, we know how to close file. So you can see here you are using open to open, then you have to close. But most times people forget to close the file, which is not good practice. So if you think you might forget to close, you can use this with keyword, which will close the file automatic. So let us see how you can read from a file using the with. So I'll just say with, then I'll copy this same code like that. let me just cut it and put it here. So I'll just say with open, then you pass the path of your file and the mode. Then you can open, let me open it as file. That's optional, but you have to give it, you have to use an alias so that you can access that file. So I'll open it as file. Just it's the same thing that you did here. We are opening that file, then assigning it to a variable. That's the same thing that I've done here. Then this line, we can just move it inside this width like that. So with this line, I have opened the file, I have read from it, and I have closed the file. So with read, you don't have to close the file after you have used it. The file will automatically close after this block is over. So what I'm doing in this block, I've opened the file using with, then I'm reading content from the file. So once I finish reading those content, the file will close automatically. So if I just run this code, it will just work the same as it was working before. But now you can see I didn't have that file.close because I've said with it closes automatically, and that's the benefit of with. By default, this read method returns the whole text, but if you wanted to read part of the text, you can pass some arguments to that read method. So this read method accepts some arguments, and you can specify the number of characters that you want to read. So you can see here they say that read can specify the number of characters to read. For example, if I want to read 3 characters, I'll just pass here 3. And now if I run this code, it will only read the first 3 characters of that text file. In this case, it will read Y, O, and U. So I expect to see U in the terminal. So let me run that to confirm. And you can see indeed I got U. So if you pass number of characters here, the characters that you pass at the end that will be read. The other thing is that you can read just a single line using this read line method. So if I need to read just the first line, only this you look good, I can use this read line. So I'll just say read line, and it doesn't take any arguments. I'll just say read line like that. And if I run this code, I'll just see the first line of this text. I'll just see you look good. So I'll just run that to confirm. And you can see indeed I just got the first line that says you look good. And if I need to read multiple lines, you can use this one called read lines. So I'll just say read lines. Then this one will return an object. Let me just print so that you can see it first, how it will look. So it will return this as a list. So you have to loop through each item because this first line will be the first line will be the first element, the second line will be the second element, and the third line will be the last element. So depending on the number of lines that you have, they'll be stored in a list. So to read each line independently, I can just store this to a variable, then I can loop to that variable. So let me just store this. I can just call these lines like that. Then I can loop through these lines using the for loop, because I've said with lists the best loop is the for loop. So I can say for line in lines, I can just print those lines. I can just print each line like that. Then I run this code, and you'll see indeed each line will be printed, and there is this space because you have seen that it stores, there is that \n after each element. If you don't have that \n, maybe you can just add this end. You can just add this end, and maybe you can say end with just an empty string like that. Then if I print, you can see now the \n is now gone. So that is how you use this, and that's how you read from a file. You have learned how to use the read method. I told you that if you, let me show you here, if you just call this open will return an object, and that object you're storing it to a variable. Now this variable is an object, and now once you have that object has access to the read method. That's why I'm saying file.read, and you can say file.read. Now this file.read reads the whole text. If you wanted to read specific characters, you just pass the characters there. This read line reads the first line. If you wanted to read multiple lines, you can use this read lines. And I've said read lines, by default it has a new line after every line. So to remove that new line, you can just override that by saying end read just an empty string like that, and that new line will be removed. So basically that is how you open a file and read to it. So see you in the next video, we'll learn about writing to files. Peace out.